two separate meetings. The first time as information, and the second time for final action after debate. And lastly, as public officials, we have more than enough opportunity to ask questions, express opinions, seek clarification, or make statements. We can post on social media, we can issue press releases, or we can do any of the activities that contributed to us getting elected in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Wilson. I see the hand of Board Member Tilley and then Board Member Patero.
Actually, President Richardson, Ms. Patero's hand was up before me, so I would yield the floor to her, and then I'll go
Okay,
after.
thank you. It doesn't give me the order, so Board
I
Member Patero.
understand.
Okay, thank you for that. I would just like to say that in our self-evaluation, we just talked about asking questions to the staff. We don't want to bombard the staff with questions. We don't want to ask questions at the board meeting. How else do we want to get informed? That's first. Second, at the end of board presentations, there is a segment that says board discussion. How else are we supposed to discuss if we can't ask questions and discuss? My third and final is how are we going to get around that when board bylaws 9121 says, number 2, consult with the superintendent or designated vice president on preparation of board agendas. Number 6, recognize persons who desire to speak and protect the speaker who has the floor from disturbance and interference. How, Mr. Wilson, do you plan to get around bylaw number 9121?
Any other comments? Board Member Tilley?
Yeah, so I'm attracted to the motion because I would love to discuss with each other our positions regarding the action on the floor. I would love to exchange ideas concerning whether there is merit or not merit in supporting or denying a motion. And I take very seriously my preparation before each board meeting. And we're hoping as a board, as we mature, to share our questions, intercession, if you would, our pre-questions in advance of the meeting, and or discuss those or raise those with each other during the meeting. And that's what discussion's for. So I don't have a problem with, I don't want to experience an interrogation of staff or disagreements or accusations regarding what's going on. I think our job is to receive the information and then to talk to each other. So I would like to try it and talk to each other, not against each other, over each other, or at staff. So I support the motion.
Board Member Ison.
Thank you. I'm going to speak in favor of the motion, and it's because we have governance standards that we ought to adhere to. And one of them is following our meetings by way of Robert's Rules of Order. And in agreement with what Mr. Wilson has proposed, when you are operating under Robert's Rules of Order, then you get to speak for or against an item that is going to be taken action on. That is the purpose of the order. You only get a limited time in many of the circles I've spoken in to speak either for or against the item. We also have time to gather information because information items come to us sometimes twice before action is taken, which gives plenty of time for us to get any homework done that we need to get done, so that when we come back together to the meeting, there may be some discussion where we strengthen our position or not on the action that we're about to take. So I'm in favor of the motion to try, and I think that it's because we're concerned that we are not operating under our governance procedures and norms, and protocols. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Ison. Board Member Smith.
I have a question. Sorry, the feedback. I want to know, because this is all coming to me new, and so I'm trying to process it, and I'm trying to understand, sometimes you've gotten the presentation, you have the slide deck, but the staff who are here presenting are adding additional context to the item that we're looking at. And that might perhaps spark a question that you didn't have before, but now somebody has presented it and you have this question. Would that eliminate the opportunity for doing that? I think that I need to understand that before I can say yay or nay on this.
Thank you, Board Member Smith. I do want to defer back to Board Member Wilson. We're going to make this the time of board discussion of the motion that we have a motion and a second, which is to adopt removing all opportunities for board member questions and comments, except to make motions or speak in favor or against any motion. Board Member Wilson, if you would like to begin that discussion, you can answer any of the questions of your colleagues.
Thank you. To speak for a second time, as I understand it, our rules allow us to, when debating a motion, speak up to 2 times. We would lose a little. We would lose some flexibility. We would lose some spontaneous ability to follow up questions, spur of the moment, on presentations by staff, for instance. It would be necessary to follow up, for instance, after the first information. Again, every action item is on our agenda twice. The first time with a full presentation when we have questions. However, we have 2 weeks at least to have those questions answered. We do not need to take time during our meetings. It's a nice convenience, but I would like to try trading away that convenience for confidence that we can do our business without disruption or unwelcome interruption. So I would advocate that it would be a worthwhile trade-off, and we could certainly try. The motion is to try it just this time to see if we like it. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Wilson. Board Member Tilley and Isom, I'm not sure which order. And I also see Board Member Honeychurch.
Thank you, President Richardson. I think we're misunderstanding how we're supposed to be debating, you guys. Here's the thing. When we're talking to each other, our support or opposition to something, we can say, well, I'm not really clear on this because I think we need this information. And then as a board, we can say, well, yeah, probably do need that information, or, so then our staff doesn't go scurrying around coming off the wall. Instead, they know that the board is directing a request for additional information. And it's clear that it's not just an indulgence, but rather necessary information that we need to make good decisions. So I don't think that you can't ask questions. I think that we talk to each other and we say, well, here's my problem. We have this presentation and this question, is new because of this new information. So I want to know about this. That's part of what we do as our team. So I mean, I'm not going to, if I have to raise a question as part of my support or opposition to an action, and you better believe I'm going to raise that question. I just won't raise it to staff. I'm going to raise it to you as my fellow board members.
Thank you. And I don't see any other hand. I really appreciate the thought put into this. This is the first that many of us are hearing this So hearing this, I believe it gives us an opportunity to reset. But also if we look at the order of how agendas are created and the process for which how we approve items, Board Member Tilly, you couldn't say it more perfect, that items come before us initially as information and technically can continue to come back to us as information until we're clear enough to make a decision in many cases. So I think that it's important to acknowledge that, and that gives us the opportunity when it's in the interest of the entire board to give the superintendent direction on information that she can delineate to staff. So I think that this gives us a chance to restore some order to the board and allows for us to move forward knowing that there will be many opportunities to ask questions, to get clarifications, so that we can have that discussion amongst ourselves at our meeting in public, which is not a public meeting. So with that, we have the motion and we have the second. Is there any further discussion?
I do believe that we were going to pull item 12F.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't gotten to that.
Yeah.
yet.
So if we could just amend your motion, Mr. Wilson, with the addition of pulling item 12F.
I'd
from
like to amend the motion to pull item 12.
F.
12F.
12F.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, just make sure that we're all on the same page. Our motion now has been amended, which is to remove all opportunities for board member questions and or comments, except to make motions or to speak in favor or against any motion, in addition to the removal of item 12F from tonight's agenda.
Second.
Perfect. We have a second. Do we have any further board discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Nay, and I just want to point out that this is a violation of Board Bylaw 9121.
Mr. Richardson, Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
That motion passes. We move to item Okay, thank you. We move to item 1D, the reading of closed session agenda items.
And remember, we're doing this a little out of order, so it's at the end of the meeting. I don't think the public was made aware yet.
and we just wanted to put these items up in the front in case the public wanted to comment on closed session items, because we're going to go into closed session at the end of the meeting. And so we didn't know what time that would be, so we wanted to give this opportunity to our public.
Thank you. So the reading of the closed session, we will be adjourning the closed session for discussion on possible actions on matters of student discipline, personnel, negotiations, and litigation. Do we have any public comments on closed session items for today, which will be held after the adjournment of tonight's regular scheduled board meeting?
There is no public comment on the closed session items at 8 or 9 o'clock or whenever it arises.
Thank you. We move to item 2A, which is recognitions. We're going to begin with our introduction of the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District Student of the Month for May 2021 by Board Vice President Bethany Smith and Student Board Member Chantel Martino.
Valeria Gonzalez Castillo, an Armio High School 12th grader, has been selected as one of the district's Students of the Month for May 2021. Valeria is a student who delights in opportunity and finds purpose and meaning in everything she does. Valeria and her family came to the United States from Venezuela in June 2018. Although Valeria did not speak English, her counselor recognized her as an ideal candidate for IB. Valeria, who describes herself as someone who is afraid to take challenges but does it anyway, said the genuine encouragement of her Armio counselor and her new friends in leadership helped her accept the IB challenge. Now, only a few years later, she speaks perfect English as well as French and earns straight A's in the rigorous IB program. Valeria is particularly grateful for Armio staff who have unfailingly supported her as she navigated a new country, new language, rigorous academics, and amazing leadership opportunities. Valeria will soon be an Aggie majoring in neurobiology and human behavior, eventually becoming a nurse through UC Davis's accelerated nursing program. Valeria represents the best qualities of Armio, and we are proud to recognize her as Armio's Student of the Year and FSUSD Student of the Month.
Me, Superintendent Corey, Board President Richardson, board members, and members of the community. My name is Valeria Gonzalez, and today I'm being recognized with the absolute honor of being Student of the Year at Armio High School and one of the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District Student of the Month. I am beyond grateful and happy to be standing right here and being able to communicate my feelings of appreciation because it was right here in the leadership classroom that my journey started. It was in the very same classroom of Armio that I've gotten the amazing opportunity to learn and grow, not only as a leader, but also as a human. I genuinely owe everything I am to my parents and to the Armio staff and teachers because it was their unconditional support, their encouraging words, and their love that I've made it through the past 3 years since I've gotten to the United States. Words could never be enough to express the place that Armio and the leadership family have in my heart. I would always cherish all the things that I've learned and the memories I've created. This beautiful community has given me all the tools and resources that I need to achieve my goals and thrive. And that's something that I'm extremely grateful for. I hope I can be a source of inspiration to all immigrants whose journeys are just starting. I also hope I can represent the Latino community and be a figure of perseverance, as well as carry the message of fighting for your dreams and goals no matter what. I would like to give a special thanks to the teachers from the History and English department for nominating me, my fellow classmates, and my friends. And lastly, once again, my beautiful family, because all of you believed in me even when I didn't believe that I could do half of the things that I've done. Lastly, thank you so much, Superintendent Corey, Board President Richardson, board members, and members of the community for allowing me to be here and give my speech and for giving me such an honor as it is Student of the Month. Thank you.
Aaron Ghana, a 12th grader from Fairfield High School, has been selected as one of the district's Students of the Month for May 2021. Aaron is this year's Fairfield High School valedictorian for his senior class. Aaron is a very caring student who is always willing to help his peers in class. It is his ability to apply his knowledge that sets him apart from other students. He has an amazing ability to learn and then assist others when they are struggling, going beyond simply giving answers. He takes the time to mentor them so they comprehend the concepts presented in the lesson. While he's one of the best students on campus, Aaron has demonstrated that he wants to bring out the best in others as well. Aaron is amazing and always goes above and beyond in all endeavors. He is currently building a legacy that will last beyond his years at Fairfield High School through his extraordinary involvement in his academics, cross-country, theater, and sports leadership. We congratulate you, Aaron, for being honored tonight as one of the district's Students of the Month for May.
Hi, my name is Aaron Ghana. I'm a senior at Fairfield High. Firstly, I would like to thank each and every one of my teachers and the entire FHS staff for their compassion, empathy, and kindness. They really made this tough time a lot more bearable. Also, thank you for even considering me for this award. I know there are many other students very deserving of this award, so it is an honor to be chosen as Fairfield High Student of the Year. Thank you so much.
We are proud to announce that Asher Atkinson has been selected as one of the district's Students of the Month for May 2021. Asher is a remarkable student and a proud Mustang. At the beginning of his freshman year, Asher struggled as he began his journey of self-acceptance. Asher thrived being a proud member of the Rodriguez Entertainment Unit during his sophomore and junior years. Asher dedicated most of his free time to the REU program with practices and band competitions. Asher is also a member of the Rodriguez Future Farmers of America, FFA. In his junior year, he served as vice president and this year as its president. The FFA program builds leadership that supports and promotes agricultural education. Asher was part of the first class to hatch chickens. He kept track of the incubator humidity, assisted with building the chicken brooder, and assisted in the hatchling and care of the chicks. Asher also participated in the building projects to support how current agricultural activities are being used. Having the mindset to go through with something, believing you can, and knowing you can do it is a key ingredient for Asher's success. Rodriguez has given him all the support he needed, and he is thankful. He states, "I am here before you, stronger and happier than I've ever been. I want to thank my teachers, Frau Atten and Ms. Dewhurst, for always believing in my abilities, my FFA advisor for pushing me to try new things, and the office staff. I have definitely expanded on improving myself, and now I see a future." Asher wants to make this world a better place and show how proud he is of his community that supported him. We congratulate you, Asher, for being honored tonight as one of the district's Students of the Month for May.
Hi, my name is Asher Atkinson, and I am Student of the Year for Angelo Rodriguez High School. Thank you so much to the school district and the school for giving me this great opportunity of being the person that signifies Student of the Year. It's a huge honor to get this after the 4 hard years I had to go through high school, and I just want to say thank you so much.
We congratulate all of our Students of the Month, in addition to the Students of the Year for their accomplishments and achievements. We move to item A2, which is the employee recognitions. We're going to defer this to the phenomenal Ken Whittemore as he presents these recognitions.
Thank you, Board President Richardson, Superintendent Corey, board members. We have a presentation that I'll ask them to go ahead and play that honors our years of service for 25, 30, and 35 years. Good evening, Superintendent Corey, Board President Richardson, governing board members, and all who have joined us tonight. This evening, we have the privilege of honoring those who have served the students of the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District for 25, 30, and 35 years. To you, we say thank you. You have been an essential part of the organization's journey and success. Thank you for dedicating your professional career to FSUSD, and most importantly, thank you for helping the students thrive year after year. Without further ado, please join me in celebrating our employees who have reached this professional milestone. Richard Aguilar, Ellen Anderson, Valerie Antony, Karen Beebe, April Bowles, Angela Byland, Lori Carpenter, Lori Carranza, Leslie Farwell, Ruth Guzman, Dan Hines, Lynn Herring, Brenda Hudson, Louise Jacob, Ann Lean, Donnell Long, Linda Marsh, Sherry McCormick, Allison Millard Smith, Carla Mockwart, Claudia Olson, Laura Periani, Nancy Pearson, Vicki Peterson, Leanne Purdy Martinez, Michelle Rippey, Lori Rockwell, Delicia Sacalolo, Lori Schaefer, Richard Smith, Tara Spinelli, Jeannie Vanderfem, Maria Verms, Ross, Debbie Williams, Kenneth Williams, Jim Bastian, Lynette Breeson, Robin Elledge, Joanna Fox, Matthew Kelleher, Bonnie Okamura, Maria Sandoval, Lisa Soldati, Michael Springer, Michael Swearingen, Michelle White, Regina Williams, John Benia, Lisa Christensen, David Mariano, Lisa Rushing. On behalf of the superintendent, the governing board, and the students you have served over the many years here at FSUSD, thank you for all you've done, and we appreciate your service.
I am noticing that our board president has stepped away, so I guess I will introduce the next item. Number 3, the recognition of Rodriguez High School, and this is going to be, I'm sorry.
I believe. Board Member
Yeah,
Smith,
it's the Employee Association recognitions. Would you like to take that on, Mr. Whittemore?
if I may, we have the I'm blessed tonight to be able to present to you. We have a presentation in which the CSEA, APA, and Fisma Association awards are before us, and they're going to be handed out within their own group. And so, very pleased to have that video for you tonight as well, and that recognition. So, if you please go ahead and roll that for the group.
This year, CSEA is proud to recognize 2 outstanding union members for 2021. Megan Baker is our clerical unit recipient. Megan has completed all 3 levels of the union steward training and is now a jacketed union steward for Chapter 302. She shows up for every meeting and training put before her. Megan is always willing to represent a member and has great follow-through. She is very detail-oriented and takes great notes in her position as secretary for our local chapter. Megan has volunteered to assist with things like Classified School Employee Week for the last 2 years, our chapter's park cleanup, to name a few things. Megan, please accept this award with our deepest gratitude. Marissa Ramirez is our support unit recipient. Marissa has also completed all 3 levels of Union Steward training and is now a jacketed Union Steward for Chapter 302. She has already represented members with issues and a grievance to date. Marissa is thoughtful and thorough in her approach to members' concerns. Marissa also shows up for every meeting and training offered by CSEA, and she is eager to learn and become more involved with the union. Marissa goes above and beyond in her position as an LVN with FSUSD. She's always there to assist the students, staff, and parents each and every day. Marissa, please accept this award with our deepest gratitude.
I'm Bethany Pasick, co-lead school psychologist, here to present this year's APA School Psychologist of the Year award to Lesta Mccready. Lesta and I began working at FSUSD at the same time 6 years ago. Lesta grew from a quiet team member into a strong, passionate advocate for the department through her work on the leadership team. She enjoyed the work so much she was on leadership team not once, but twice. Lesta's contributions to our department and to the district have been invaluable. She is always willing to lend support when needed, both professionally and personally, whether that be assisting with a case, problem solving, or lending a listening ear. Lesta has served her students well, bringing a career's worth of expertise to share with the district. In speaking with her principal, it was shared that Lesta is an integral staff member at Dano Root Health and Wellness Academy. She always advocates for students and builds meaningful relationships with students and staff. She is always available to help problem solve and support the teachers and students when needed. She is always thorough and professional when working with families and does her best to make sure that families have the most current information about their student that they may need. While Lesta is a staff member who will be missed by their entire school, Ms. Reese shared that she will personally miss their friendship they have and her positive presence the most. Lesta's knowledge, hard work, dedication, kind heart, and sense of humor are going to be missed next year. We wish you the best, Lesta, as you head off on many new adventures. If you have a chance to go dog sledding in Norway, you must be sure to share pictures. Congratulations.
Board President Richardson, Governing Board, and Superintendent Corey, good evening. On behalf of the Fairfield Sassoon management team, I am proud to announce the Fisma Managers of the Year. Each year, members nominate and select a certificated and classified Manager of the Year. Our Fisma Classified Manager of the Year is Marbella Ellis. Marbella serves as the district's Family Resource Center Manager. Marbella's sole responsibility is to work with her team to ensure all of our homeless students and families have the supports and services necessary to be successful. Marbella, along with the Student Services team, successfully coordinates the annual Back-to-School Resource Fair and the Adopt a Family, held every winter. Marbella is responsible for obtaining and implementing grants to fund homeless outreach, which ensure more resources for our homeless students and families. While supervising family resource centers at Cleo Gordon, Anna Kyle, and Sassoon Elementary, Marbella helps our families who are food insecure and need of basic needs, access to health care, parenting classes, and school enrollment. While we celebrate all of our classified managers, Marbella exemplifies what it means to be a Fisma member as she works tirelessly in the best interest of our students. Our Fisma Certificated Manager of the Year is Allison Guernsey. Allison is the principal of David A. Weir Preparatory Academy. She has served FSUSD as a teacher and administrator since 2012 and has been a David Weir as principal since 2018. Allison goes above and beyond every single day. She is extremely supportive as a principal and a colleague. She is great at problem solving and knows the answers to everything. Everybody can count on her to pick up her phone to provide her expertise no matter the time or the day. Allison is already knee-deep in leading her school and planning for the 21-22 school year and is exploring all angles of support as we look to transition to a fuller schedule. We're lucky to have her on our admin team.
We move to item 3, which is the recognition of Rodriguez High School as the 2021 California Distinguished School by the Solano County Superintendent of Schools, Lizette Henderson.
Good evening. Thank you so much. I'm trying to turn the camera on, but it keeps turning off. So I will just make the recognition verbally. It is my honor and pleasure, President Richardson, trustees of the board, Superintendent Corey, staff and students and guests, to recognize Rodriguez High School as a 2021 California Distinguished School. And gosh, I wish I could show the certificate that I have here. I don't know if you can see it there. It's not showing up. But I really want to take the time to honor Rodriguez High School. It is the only high school in Solano County outside of 13 high schools that we have in Solano County, the only one to be recognized as a California Distinguished School in Solano County. And State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond, named high schools that have an exceptional record to provide all students with their commitment to data-driven efforts that prepare students for college and career. And this award is sponsored by the California Department of Education as part of the Distinguished Schools program and recognizes Rodriguez High School for their excellent work in closing the achievement gap and achieving exceptional student performance. Again, distinguished schools represent examples of not just excellent teaching and learning and collaboration, but also highly successful data-driven school efforts ranging from professional development to positive behavior intervention. So to the students of Rodriguez High School, the staff, parents of Rodriguez High School, Principal Clarence Isidore, and Vice Principal John Pizzo, congratulations. My honor and privilege to recognize you tonight. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
I do believe we have both Principal Isidore and Principal Pizzo on this call, on this meeting tonight. So you would all wave and be recognized and just acknowledged for your leadership. Thank you.
And we just want to just reiterate that the Rodriguez team also encompasses the early college, where Mr. Pizzo is the principal at the early college. So the beautiful thing is Rodriguez has the beauty of having almost 2 principals per se, if you want to call it that. You know, one that's assisting our students with their transition into college, and one that's assisting them into college, literally. So we congratulate both Mr. Clarence IZZY Isidore and Mr. John Pizzo for their phenomenal work in achieving this great feat.
President Richardson, I would just like to thank my wonderful Rodriguez High School teachers, faculty, staff, students, parent community to help me achieve this important milestone. And a special thank you to County Superintendent Henderson and Superintendent Chris Corey and our school board, my admin team, and of course, John Pizzo. Thank you, and I love FSUSD.
Congratulations, Principal Isidore.
Mr. Pizzo, I know you're hiding out on the screen somewhere. Would you like to share some feedback, comments?
You're muted.
Mic was off, sorry. Absolutely, thank you. Just like Principal Isidore said, I am just so proud of the teachers, students and staff and parents. It was all of their hard work coming together for student success. So I'm just proud of everybody in this moment. So thank you.
We move forward to item B, which is the student representative video reports, and that will be by Miguel Silva from Armio High School, Xavier Ramirez from the Early College High School, and last but not least, Victoria Alvarado from the Public Safety Academy. We'll present those at this time.
Good evening to Superintendent Corey, Board President Richardson, and members of the board, along with all of you that are joining us tonight. My name is Miggy Silva, Armio's ASB Treasurer, and it is my honor to be presenting to you on behalf of Armio High School. So much has happened since the last time I spoke here at the board meeting in fall. Student athletes were invited back to play their respective sports, teachers and students were welcomed back onto campus, and bits of normal are being restored daily. Let's not forget, we have also finalized a design to celebrate our new mascot, the Royals. There has been a lot of positive students and staff. I have had the opportunity to speak with several students regarding their sports seasons. For many seniors, it was one last opportunity to showcase their talents and step on the field or court of the sport that they have loved their lives. For some students, it was an opportunity to get outside and try something new. While the sports season looked a little different, there is a vast appreciation from all of the sports teams and athletes for the ability to compete, get outside, and be able to touch base with our old reality. As far as enrichment periods in the afternoon, there have been so many positive stories and reports from teachers and students. The opportunity to come onto campus for some students has been a chance to get back in the swing of things academically and focus on some concepts that they were unable to achieve while learning online. While teachers are focusing on academics, there's also an emphasis on social interaction in the classroom. Teachers and students have been taking this opportunity to build meaningful relationships through several different social emotional activities. Speaking on behalf of Armio's senior class of 2021, we are elated to hear that we are going to be able to celebrate our 4 years of hard work with a traditional graduation. We are also looking forward to being able to have some closure with our classmates during some senior activities, including painting our senior squares and watching the senior sunset. Lastly, it was exciting news to hear the announcement that we are going to have a new principal next year. I want to welcome Principal Brown to Armio High School on behalf of the student body. While Mr. Brown seems like an excellent fit for our school, we are definitely going to miss the environment that our amazing principal, Mrs. Smith, has created in her 4 years as principal. We will miss seeing her smile and dance moves around campus. Thank you for everything you have done for Armio and all of us students. We know you will forever be an Armio Royal at heart. Thanks again to the board for letting us share the happenings at Armio High School.
Superintendent Corey, Board President Richardson, members of the board, and the community, I'm Xavier Ramirez, and it is my honor to be telling you about what we've been doing at Early College through the 2020-2021 school year. This year at Early College, we have been social distancing like everybody else, but the teachers nonetheless have made it an easy experience for everybody. They use breakout rooms so that we get our social interaction, and they adapted their lessons plans so that it works well online. And another way that we have been able to socially interact is through clubs. And this year, the clubs have been incredible. Academic Decathlon made it all the way to states, and we are so proud of them. Activist clubs have been very important. It's the first year of BSU and the second year of GSA, which are used to create conversations that we might not have the opportunity to have in class. And they both participated in the Wellness Week, which focuses on the mental health of the people of Early College. Some of the events of Wellness Week include journaling with GSA, BSU's compliment battle, and painting with Bob Ross. This year for leadership, we have been extremely busy. Despite the social distancing, we've been able to introduce the newspaper, which has been an incredible success and is a good way to share the information that Early College has, as well as some fun, lighthearted articles. Leadership has also hosted Spirit Weeks, which have been an incredible success, where people just take pictures of whatever the Spirit Week is and then post it on a Google slide. Early college has also been really active in sports this year, despite not being available in the first semester. During the second semester, early college really showed out. We were a part of tennis, cross country, swim, and we of course are incredibly grateful to, get outside and get some physical exercise on. And finally, the most important part of the early college experience, the capstone really, the senior project. The senior project is basically where every single senior has to do a project that's based around community service, creative arts, or career exploration. And this year, of course, the seniors did an incredible job. Some examples of incredible jobs include Sophia Canoli's creative arts project around Black Joy, Ethan Creer's Wounded Warriors Community Service Project, which raised over $1,000, and Princess Perez's career exploration, which helped her shadow a job at an orthodontist. So that's what we've been doing here at Early College. It's been a ton of fun, and been a great year despite everything. And I just want to thank the teachers for being incredibly gracious and understanding in this tough time. But I also want to thank you all for listening to this presentation. Have a good day.
Good evening, Superintendent Corey, Board President Honey Church, members of the board, and community members. My name is Victoria Alvarado, the cadet representative of the Public Safety Academy. I am honored to be here this evening to share some wonderful activities going on at PSA. Just like first semester, we continue with our weekly Eagle slides, which we use as a main source of communication. But what we have included this year, in addition to our weekly Eagle, has been weekly videos. Same information, just in video. On to our activities, we first begin with Hero Squad. Hero Squad was one of our most successful events this year because we raised over $1,000 to help with blood cancer research. Another activity we previously hosted was part of our weekly Thursday activities, where students from all grade levels came together and showed their artistic skills. Beside the activities we host on campus or through Google Meets, our students are staying engaged with their extracurricular activities. With the year almost coming to an end, we are happy to announce high school sports are back up and running. Now moving on to how we accommodate towards these new times on campus, we are glad to finally see some students back and present, and best of all, students of all grade levels. Our teachers and students are also happy to get out of the normal and express themselves out of uniform and through their masks. We have also had the honor to announce our Asb Officers. We welcome President Tegan Talbot, Vice President Victoria Poland, Secretary Samuel Raga, and Treasurer Kayla Combs. We also like to celebrate our seniors who have recently accomplished another milestone in their life. We are honored to have these students be accepted into following universities. Beside the high school seniors, and our student council has hosted a Minecraft building activity. Students had the opportunity to compete to win a Starbucks gift card by creating the best design. Once again, we thank you for coming and listening to us today, and have a wonderful night.
We're moving to item C, the employee organization reports. I do see Fsuda President Nancy Dung, who's going to make her way to the virtual podium in the other room. If you have any other employee organizational unit representatives present, please make yourself visible so that we can acknowledge you. Also, as we begin to have members of our employee organization units and the public to speak, we just encourage you to continue to maintain social distancing, continue to wear your mask, and continue to abide by all of the recommendations that have been put into place by the CDC and Cal OSHA.
Okay. Good evening, President Richardson, governing board members, Superintendent Corey, and community members. I am Nancy Dunn, President of Fairfield Sassoon Unified Teachers Association. Fsuda members are busy with in-person and distance learning, squeezing every moment of instruction they can into this year. Many are also supporting other members by taking their students or covering classes when a substitute is not available. They are digging deep to find the energy to keep everyone moving forward, and they will always rise to the occasion because they want what is best for students. The professionalism and teamwork demonstrated daily is commendable, especially considering about 50% of Fsuda unit members have been part of FSUSD for 5 years or less. I think it shows the camaraderie members have built with each other in a short time, even during a pandemic and working remotely for over a year. Having almost a majority of our certificated employees in their first 5 years in the district presents a joint opportunity and responsibility to create and maintain a workplace culture that retains this talented and energetic cohort. It will take management and labor working together and separately to make them feel valued and want to stay with us. To be clear, when I speak about feeling valued, it has little to do with compensation. Compensation is what we are paid for the work we provide. It is what allows us to pay our ever-increasing rent, pay our bills, and feed and clothe ourselves and our families. For about half of our members, their compensation barely covers the basics, and sometimes not even that. Now, don't get me wrong, compensation plays a role in whether members will stay in FSU, FSUSD, or go elsewhere, but it's not what shows us we are valued. So here are some ideas on ways Fsuda members might be shown we really are valued. We feel valued when we are treated fairly by our coworkers and supervisors. We feel valued when we are not asked to do more work than we're compensated for, and that allows us a work-life balance. We feel valued when our negotiated contract is upheld and we aren't made to feel afraid to stand up for ourselves when it is broken. We feel valued when we are trusted to know how to do our jobs with excellence. We feel valued when our daily working conditions are positive so we can pass that energy on to our students. Some Fsuda members do not feel very valued after this long and difficult year. I believe we can work together to change that. Retaining members is a high priority for Fsuda and for management. I hope as we end this year and begin the next one, we will agree to prioritize valuing members in authentic and meaningful ways. When we do that, we all benefit, and the group that benefits the most is our students. I hope we will agree to pledge ourselves to do better. We will have disagreements. We will make mistakes. The question is, will we create a district where people feel valued? I believe we can if we put our minds to it. When we do, we will be the premier district. To all of Fsuda members, I hope you felt valued during the many Day of the Teacher events. Thank you, trustees, for your time and attention this evening.
Thank you, Nancy Dunn, for your organizational report. We move forward to item D, which is the student board members report. We'll defer to student board member Chantel Martinez.
Thank you, President Richardson. Good evening, all. My report tonight makes me feel a little bit bittersweet as I believe that it is going to be my last one as of this school year. This week, student board member elections have begun and they will conclude tomorrow at 3 p.m. We have 4 amazing candidates who are running for student board member, which are Caroline Keller, Jack Flynn, Micah Schmidt, and Trisha McCagba. We also have 2 great candidates for student board member alternate, which are Mashika Marema and Mia Hernandez. They all have amazing hopes and plans for next school year in the interest of the students, and I hope they are able to accomplish them all. During our April meeting, the Student Advisory Council voted to amend the FSUSD Student Advisory Council Constitution to allow all students within FSUSD to vote for following and future student board members. I am so glad that each student within our district now has a greater opportunity to have their voices be heard through this amendment. And I am very much looking forward to meeting and training next year's student board member who will be sworn in during the May 27th governing board meeting. Next week, on the 18th, Student Advisory Council will be having its final meeting for this school year. I would just like to celebrate and recognize all of the members who have participated this year for their efforts to creating change within this district. Distance learning has definitely been a challenge for Student Advisory Council this year, but I am so proud with the voices they have been able to amplify and represent. I can only imagine the amount of change they will advocate for and accomplish next year. I know my report has been running a little long, but to conclude, I would just like to thank Superintendent Corey, governing board members, Mrs. Witt, the members of the Student Advisory Council, all of the students within FSUSD, and everyone else for allowing me to serve as their student board member for the 2020-2021 school year. It was an honor to represent every student this year and help them gain the resources they need to learn and thrive in a premier learning environment so they may succeed, whether that may be at school or at home. And with that, for the very last time, I conclude my report. Thank you and good evening.
Ms. Martino, we thank you for your service to this district, and we now add you to the elite group of retired student board members. We should have superintendent. We should have pictures of them going down the hallway of retired student board members. We look forward to seeing your success as you move forward, and know that you always have the support of your district. And we are looking forward to your next chapters as you move forward to be successful in the future. Thank you. We now move to we move to the superintendent's report, and I will defer that to the superintendent.
Thank you, Board President Richardson. First, I want to congratulate once again all the employees that were recognized this evening. It was great to see us honor our teachers and our staff here 25, 30, and 35 years, and also our employee organizations for their recognitions of their staff members of the year. So congratulations once again. I have a lot to report tonight. I'll try to be as succinct as possible. Fairfield Sassoon is being represented at the National Security Forum at the Air War College at Maxwell Air Force Base. This week, Angie Avlanides is representing our district. This National Security Forum has been in place since 1954, and it hosts civilians from across the country to share perspectives and attain mutual understanding on topics of interest. It's quite the honor to be included in this National Security Forum, and I know that Angie Avlanides is representing our district very well. We have some really great news and some grants that we've received. I want to give a huge shout out to our Student Services Department who went above and beyond and took the initiative to apply for these grants. The first grant that was received is called Reach for the Upside Initiative Grant. We are awarded $200,000, and this will help us work to advance equity, innovation, and well-being for young people. A second grant, also thanks to Student Services, was the Education for Homeless and Youth Grant and Foster Youth Grant. And this we received from the state. We were only one of 73 districts in the state of California to be awarded this grant, and we will receive funding for the next 3 years from 2021 to 2024. We have other accolades. We honored our distinguished school tonight, Angelo Rodriguez, but we also want to honor Matt Garcia, who received the Best of Fairfield Award for their middle school. We also want to recognize the Public Safety Academy, who was featured as a top high school in the U.S. News and World Report. They all are tied for first with their graduation rate at both the state level and the national level. I also want to just recognize that it's great to be back in conjunction working with some community partners. We had a cleanup and barbecue at Grande Circle, and we worked with the city of Fairfield, Liberty Church. There was staff from Grange, and it was really exciting and fun to be out there in the community, connecting with various people, and especially seeing the kids out there. Our staff presented at the Tri-City NAACP meeting on May 1st, and it was very well received, and we're so thankful for that partnership that we have forged this year. This is really great news. We have a wonderful coordinator of parent and family engagement, Holly Collins, and it seems like sometimes you send out an idea and it doesn't become an idea to Holly. It is on her checklist to get it done. So we were having a parent leader meeting a couple of months ago, and someone thought of the idea of some type of support for grandparents who are raising their grandchildren, or even watching their grandchildren during the day. Well, Holly has our first grandparent cafe scheduled for Wednesday, May 19th at 6:30 p.m. And I'm going to put that information in my Friday letter tomorrow so that you can, if you want to, join in on that event. And she has one planned in the near future that will be conducted in Spanish. And then finally, I just want to thank our associations for their collective and collaborative effort on reaching 2-year agreements. We're so appreciative of their willingness to talk and be creative. And we're really excited tonight to have those on our agenda and compensate our well-deserving staff. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. We move to item 3, which is public communication. This is opportunity for the public to address items that are not on the board meeting agenda. Public comment is only permitted on matters within the subject jurisdiction of the board. If you haven't already done so, it's required that you submit a request to speak document before the agenda item is first called. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Public communication in total duration of actual spoken word will be limited to 30 minutes in total. Mr. Clerk, please advise us on if we have public speakers.
The first 2 speakers are Gayla Wilson, then Joe Shepard. Speakers are reminded that masks must be worn at all times, even when speaking during public comment. So when speakers will enter the hallway in the back of the room where the camera is. Mrs. Wilson. The speaker camera is in the back, outside in the hallway. That's fine. Go ahead, go find it. I look forward to COVID times being done with so we can return to our old routines.
Ready? All right, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with what I believe are some of the most important individuals in our community: educators, teachers, school administrators, and various individuals who transfer knowledge from one generation to another are the lifeblood of any society. Their influence is substantial due to their knowledge base, the authority granted them, and the sheer amount of time spent with our children. In many instances, children spend more time with their teachers than their own parents. The Ethnic Studies Overview document, which was authorized by Assembly Bill 2016, unashamedly encourages the teaching of children that there are 2 types of people in society: the oppressors and the oppressed. While a certain people group is not listed as the oppressors, systems are. One of those systems specifically mentioned is capitalism, line 307 in the document. This is the same system of economics that has brought more prosperity to more people in the history of the world and encourages millions of people living in socialist countries to brave the elements and start a new life in America. Another system listed as an oppressor is cis heteropatriarchy. Apparently, it is where straight males dominate and oppress everybody who is not a straight male, not allowing them to progress in society. This is patently false. Our current vice president, scores of senators, cabinet members, CEOs, and other high-ranking positions in our society are filled by women, members of the LGBTQ community, and others who are not straight males. The ethnic studies curriculum creates a borderline schizophrenic fantasy in which normal systems and made-up groups are out to rule with an iron fist. This is patently false, and this document is directly related to critical race theory. CRT discourages classical liberalism, whose tenets include legal equality, constitutional neutrality, color blindness, role modeling, and merit-based promotion. As stated by Richard Delgado, who is one of the main authors of CRT. CRT discourages classical liberalism. With the rejection of classical liberalism, which was the main catalyst for the abolition of slavery, the civil rights movement, and the civilized discourse we are having right now, comes a system that CRT wishes to beget. CRT seeks to drive a wedge between our children based on the color of their skin. This is a different verse from an old song. It is a song that is sung by those who want to cause division and gain power. Before the genocide of the Armenians by the Turks during the beginning of the 20th century, the Turkish schools taught how the Armenian people were oppressing members of the Ottoman Empire. It is no secret that Nazis indoctrinated a whole generation to sell out the Jews via the public school education system. However, in the United States, men such as MLK and women like Rosa Parks pushed the idea that skin color was merely a manifestation of genes and revealed nothing about their character. The United States educational system picked up that baton and ran with it. As a result, people of all races have held basically every position available in America. However, there are those who seek to set back progress we have made by indoctrinating our children to believe that the color of their skin reveals their character. This is why I urge the school board to reject the ethnic studies curriculum. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Gayla Wilson, then David Torres.
Members of the board and Superintendent Corey, I represent Music for Our Children and am a parent of students from previous years who enjoyed the full benefits of being in both music and sports programs in this district. We now have high school choir at all high schools except the Public Safety Academy, and we are thrilled to report that. We are also hoping to have a choir there soon. We are so happy to report that all needed personal protective equipment is in for both choirs and bands at all levels. And we assume that a whole new set will be ordered for the fall for these two programs, with an even larger increase for the elementary band to start off the new school year. We are delighted to hear there will be instrument lessons in the summer for elementary students. We encourage you to continue recruiting music teachers for the after-school band. $62,000 order for new instruments was made, and look forward to them being distributed in the fall. Supported by the State Education Department of California and the local community. Thank you for continuing to work on an equitable education, for all of our children.
The last two speakers are David Torres, then George Gwynn.
I do want to note that we currently already have two courses in particular that would merit itself as ethnic studies courses. One being a U.S. history course called Race and Social Justice, also African American, Blacks and Literature. However, what I believe some may be alluding to is the currently passed ethnic studies curriculum by the state of California. One thing we can certainly benefit from is the appreciation of each other's cultures. I believe we cannot sacrifice unity for the sake of diversity, nor sacrifice diversity for the sake of unity. I believe to appreciate each other's diverse backgrounds in a proper way will unify us so that we truly are what we truly are, which is the human race. Unfortunately, the ethnic studies curriculum will do the complete opposite. Instead of unifying people, especially children, it will divide us by race and pit each other against one another. Let me read for you a portion of this 26-page summary of this curriculum from the state of California. Sections 562 to 572 state this: teachers and administrators should familiarize themselves with current scholarly research around ethnic studies instruction, as well as theorizing around critical and culturally community relevant and responsive pedagogies, critical race theory, and intersectionality, which are key theoretical frameworks and pedagogies utilized in ethnic study research. Critical race theory and intersectionality are key theoretical frameworks for this ethnic studies. If you are not familiar with these two philosophies, let me summarize it for you. It is a worldview that sees your human value by the amount of melanin you have. Too much of it, you're oppressed. Not enough, you're an oppressor. If you're white, you're privileged and have inherent biases, which mean you're a racist, even if you don't know it or show it. That depending on how you were born in this world determines whether you inherit the original sin called racism. This isn't cultural or diversity appreciation. This is racial Marxism. But instead of dividing people by social class, the proletariat versus the bourgeoisie, they are dividing them by racial classes. It's a racist and evil philosophy that has no place in society, much less in the education of our children. In fact, this is not education whatsoever. It is indoctrination. And we all know it, and you all know it. And I wish I had more time to expand on these definitions, but I only allowed these 3 minutes. But I promise I will be back to expand more in depth on these racist and divisive philosophies, because I cannot sit back and watch the next generation of young people grow up learning to hate one another. I refuse to sit back and watch that. It is crazy to me that all the work that has been done post-civil rights era to eradicate racism and segregation, do we now implement a philosophy of racism and segregation? But it makes me appreciate all the more this wise and truthful saying that all people, no matter how much melanin the good Lord gave you, are made in the image of God. Every single one of us. It is the greatest honor and dignity that is bestowed upon humanity. And it is this idea, this truth, that helps us to appreciate each other's differences, yet be unified as one race, the human race. I'm all for ethnic studies. The beauty of other cultures and backgrounds should unify us, not divide us. But this curriculum will not do that. It's built on lies and it's disgustingly evil. So I pray that you'll fight it with me to deny this in our schools. Thank you.
Our last speaker on this item is George Gwynn.
No, it's okay. Good evening once again. This is George Gwynn. I was really disappointed with the sound level this time. I know it's been under works to get fixed, but this is the worst I've seen tonight. I can understand the superintendent that maybe it's a high frequency voice or where she sits in relation to the microphone, or maybe it's some other thing, but I really hope by the next meeting that sound quality is fixed, because it's almost impossible to understand some of the people that speak on the board. I don't have any problems when the calls are coming in. I can hear Board Member Tilley with no problem. So it's the reverberation by the board members. It's the real problem. Anyway, I hope it gets fixed soon, because it's not acceptable to most people, I think, the way it is now. The other thing I want to talk about is that it's interesting. Seems that most of the people in the union here now are new people. It's not too many old people, because 50% are less than 5 years. Look at Silicon Valley. The people who run Silicon Valley have always stopped the union from happening. And they have the same views with people that belong to the unions for the school district. Isn't that interesting how the thing works both ways? You got to have a union if you're in the school district, but you don't have it if it's a private sector. And the thing of it is if you got a college education, which the people that are teaching all have, why can't you negotiate your own contract? It seems to me that it would be a lot better for the public, the people that are on the board, and the society as a whole to have people do their own contracts instead of having a few people constantly tell everybody else how things work. Because anytime you have a union in a government setting, eventually it's going to be bankruptcy. It's fine to have it in a private organization because there's checks and balances, but there's no checks and balances because the tax money that's going to the people or union members can be used against the public to make them pay exorbitant salaries and then other benefits. So it's not an equal playing field, and you need an equal playing field. So hope you guys will think about that the next time you get an opportunity to deal with personnel matters. Thank you very much.
There are no more public speakers.
Thank you. We move to our consent calendar, item 4. Board colleagues, are there any items to be pulled from the consent calendar?
Move approval.
Do we have any public comment on the consent calendar?
There are no public comments on the consent calendar.
Second the motion.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Board Member Richardson, I just wanted to point out and to thank Mayor Harry Price for donating masks to our district. They're reusable ones. And when we do the consent calendar, people that don't read the agenda don't see the marvel of the support that we experience from the community. Want a sort of privilege there to thank our mayor for supporting safety in our district.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Vitero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson, Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilley, Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Thank you. We move to item 9, action items, education services. Public hearing for the adoption of new instructional materials for the fall 2021. No presentation. Do we have any public comments?
We have one public comment. Mr. Dean Shreve, please go to the comment station.
Public hearing is now open.
All right. Well, Governing Board President Richardson, Superintendent Corey, and families and students of Fairfield Unified School District, I'd just like to make a comment on the new materials and courses at Semieto. First of all, we would like to give a great thanks to the members of the curriculum instruction and assessment team here at the district for the great work that they did to help us to develop this new curriculum and to get these materials approved. I'd like to start with a rhetorical question. What is the value of literature? That's a question I ask my students all the time, and very few can answer immediately. It is to shed light on the human condition, which is universal in many ways, but not uniform, as many of the previous speakers on other topics just demonstrated. Well, what is the value of literature to those who hate reading? What about to those who hate school? Well, that's what we're confronted with very often at Semieto. And we found a need for an alternative course in literature on the quarter system and based on the standards. So we really appreciate your adoption of these new materials, these graphic novels, which take these classics of literature and put them in the hands of students that they can see it in their language and to begin. A lot of people think sometimes that, you're bringing down Shakespeare, but I ask you, what would Shakespeare be producing today? Out of tragedy comes art. And that is why we have courses such as It's Lit, Irony, Ambiguity, and Tragedy, where they read Macbeth, right? And they screw their courage to the sticking place. Ethics and Morality in a World of Justice and Vengeance. Outcasts and Loyalty in Literature, where they read The Merchant of Venice. And we just thank you so much. We'd like to think about it this way. This is for the families and students out there. Woe to us if we think this is their last chance to read a book. Woe to us if that's our fixed mindset. No, we'd rather have students who begin a lifelong process of learning. And that's what we seek to do with these graphic novels and literature. And then finally, with the 12th grade literature and the 11th grade book, They Say, I Say, how many of us have written a 5-paragraph essay in the past 5 months? No, we pore over emails trying to figure out how to get the tone right. We write up, paragraphs to speak at a board presentation to make sure that we quote others correctly and say things to get our message across adequately. I thank you so much for your help in adopting these materials.
There are no more public speakers.
Public hearing is now closed.
Can board members make a comment on public hearings?
That's for the public hearing.
Oh, so, okay.
We move to item
Wait,
B.
wait.
Board Member Tilly.
Doesn't this require action, review? Oh, it's a potential approval. So the next meeting is when we'll have a vote on whether or not to adopt the materials?
No, it's a motion.
Yes,
I move that we approve.
Don't you think we should have a discussion about this?
After the motion.
Okay.
Yes.
You need to go to item B. We were just on item A.
Okay, thank you. I just had okay.
Item 9B, I move approval on item 9B.
And I second.
Do we have any public comment on item 9B? Oh, sorry.
There is no public comment on item 9B. There was on A, but not B.
Perfect. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Board Member Tilly seconded. Discussion?
Thank you. Any board discussion? Board Member Patero.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the first person who just spoke. I had a question about both of these pieces of literature, and that is just based on the demographics over at Samieto. 400 students who are in danger of not graduating, 70% socioeconomically disadvantaged. I don't want to know what the efficacy of Merchant of Venice and Macbeth are, 16th century literature that we don't speak today, efficacious for the students. Because the Merchant of Venice is about a guy who wants to date a girl who asks for a loan from somebody else who's a loan shark, points out the fact that he was Jewish. At the end, the guy loses everything and has to convert to Christianity. Macbeth is about a paranoid king who's on a killing rampage. So I want to know what the efficacy of those two books, of that 16th century literature, is beneficial to students today, when we want to really make them want to learn, when there's so many contemporary authors here that we can draw from. That was just my question. What's the efficacy?
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry. Speaking for or against the motion.
I just had a question as to what the efficacy of it was.
Mr.
So,
Chair.
for the point of inquiry, Board Member Patero, your question based on the motion in the second, we're not really clear on if you are supporting or against the materials.
I would like to know what the efficacy of it is first before I could make an objective decision as to why, as to yes or no. That's all I want to know.
Was this a question that came to you just right this moment, or did you submit it ahead of time?
I just want to know just now. Just why? Somebody
So,
made a
so,
comment.
so
I
I'm
want to
glad that
know.
we're having this
Point of order.
discussion. So when you talk about efficacy,
Mr. Chairman, point of
tomorrow and tomorrow,
order. Mr. Chairman, point of
am
order.
I not?
Yes, Board Member Wilson.
Okay, questions are not permitted as part of our debate. We speak in favor of or against motions this evening. So the question is needs to be ruled out of order.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that question. This is what we voted on at the beginning of the meeting. So just to clarify, Board Member Terrell, do you have a position for or against the materials, item B, what we're discussing?
I guess I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Board
Mr.
Member
President?
Tilly? Board Member Isom?
Thank you, because Board Member Tilly didn't unmute herself, so. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools away to dusty death. Out, brief candle. The reason I did that is because I learned Macbeth as growing up, and it really helped me culturally. It helped me to be able to put together sentences. It helped me to be able to think critically. I know the poem, so many stanzas of it today, and it just brings more brilliancy, as far as I'm concerned, to our students to be able to engage in this type of literature. So I'm speaking in favor of the motion that I made.
Thank you, Board Member Isom. Board Member Tilly, your digital hand is still up, so I'm not sure if you have a comment.
Well, actually, I do support this adoption, and I support it for all of the reasons stated by the representative from San Nieto. And I'm just sad because there's no answer to the question of efficacy, and it doesn't. What the proposed curriculum is should be made available to our students, and I would argue that it should.
Thank you. So we have a motion and we have a second. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
That item passes. We move to action item 10, business services. 10A, review and potential approval of resolution number 43-2021, delegation of authority to approved agreements pursuant to Education Code sections 17604 and 17605. There is no presentation. Do we have any clarifying questions, board colleagues? May I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any board discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch, Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson, Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
That item passes. We move to item 10B, review and potential approval of B and C. Review and potential approval of award of RFP 2106-22 AV Presentation Systems to CDW Government LLC. There's no presentation. And item 10C, review and potential approval of award of bid 21F-135 Fairfield High Athletic Fields renovation to DL Falk Construction Incorporated. There is no presentation. Do we have any clarifying questions?
Move approval.
Do we have any public comment?
There's no public comment.
We have a
Second.
motion by Board Member Honeychurch, second by Board Member Tilly. Any board discussion? Board Member Patero.
Yes, I see that we've used F&H construction a lot. I'm not familiar with DL Falk construction, so I was wondering first what the term add alternate is, and since we're familiar with F&H construction, if that would be prudent to use them, because I've seen them in a lot of the facilities work that we've done. So I just want to know, like, I'm not familiar with DL Falk construction.
Point of information, is the board member speaking in favor of or against the motion?
The motion is that we have 4 choices, right?
No.
They're on C. There are 4 different proposals, and they're asking us to pick one. Isn't that right? And the recommendation is to pick the one that's least.
Mr. Point of order, Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Is that it?
Board Member Wilson, proceed.
My point of order is that questions are not part of our agenda and should be ruled out of order. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Wilson. Board Member Patero, just to clarify, are you in favor or against the item that's up at question, item 10B and 10C?
You're muted. We can't hear you.
10C asks us to make a decision on one of the 4. So how can I pick 1 through 4, one of them, if I don't know what? I'm just asking a question. I'm familiar with
No,
FAQ.
that's not what this is.
Point of order.
Can we just,
Chairman,
Mr.
point of
Wilson,
order. Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Points
Wilson.
of order are allowed to interrupt speakers. The persistent question asking
Okay,
of the
fine.
board member is disrupting our order, our good order in our meeting, and is out of order and should not be tolerated. That is my point of order. How do you rule on my point of order?
I will rule on that point of order. We have a motion and we have a second. Any further board discussion? I have Board Member Tilly and Board Member Honeychurch.
And Isom.
Thank you, President Richardson. This is when we talk to each other, you guys, and just in respect to Board Member Patero, we have an obligation under government, under Ed Code and others to request bid, and we have an obligation to accept the low bidder. So the answer is we're not being asked to make a choice. We're asking to accept the successful bidder on the project, regardless of their prior work for us. And so with that in mind, I'm in favor of the recommendation of staff, and I would vote approval.
Well, thank you for a clarification. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you. I'll vote for it.
Mr. Chair.
Board Member Honeychurch and then Board Member Isom.
Actually, Helen said exactly what I was planning to explain to Board Member Petrero.
Thank you, Board Member Isom.
Right, thank you, as was I, but what I'm going to do is just draw your attention to the agenda item in and of itself, where it talks about the fiscal impact, whether or not it was budgeted, the budgeted source, and the recommended action. I think that this goes to our conversation earlier in our meeting when we talked about we have staff that are qualified to make these suggestions. They're paid lots of money to go through what it is that they go through. So I favor this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Smith.
I favor the motion as well, and I don't know why it screams at you guys every time I try to speak. I'm sorry. Um, I, if you look at the name of the agenda item, it actually says who we are going to award the bid to. So it's not a choice of who's in that sheet. It is, here is the supplemental information, and this is who we are bringing forward as the winning bid. So if you're ever wondering, it's going to be right there in the agenda item name.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Board Member Patero.
Thank you for that. I just, it'll be helpful in the future if we had presentations on these. That's all I'm asking. But I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Board
I'd
Member
like to
Wilson.
speak in favor. I'd like to speak in favor of both items. We received the information, we received the agenda, we received the backup information on Friday. That was 6 days ago. And I'm grateful that we have adequate time, 6 full days, a little bit more, to study, collect information, and to do our duty and be prepared when we arrive to the meeting so that we do not burden our colleagues or the staff with our lack of preparation. So I'm happy to support the motion. Thank you.
Call for the
Does
question.
not appear to. Board Member Eisen, repeat that again.
Call for the question. Call for the vote, please.
Absolutely. It appears that there's no further discussion. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson, Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
That item passes. We move to action items 11, Human Resources, 11A, potential review and approval of Resolution 42-2021, authorizing instructor to teach with a variable term waiver, no presentation. Do we have any public comments?
There's no public comment on this item.
Do I have clarifying? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Bethany.
Do we have any discussion, board colleagues? I see Board Member Tilly. Okay, there you go.
I'm unmuted. That's okay. I actually have notes on this, so hold on for a second. Let's see. Okay, so what I just wanted to say, the reason that I support this is that Human Resources is encouraging adoption for flexibility to our teachers that were unable to obtain their credential due to the pandemic-induced closure of test sites. So the flexibility is needed in order to extend time for the world to reopen and these very qualified educators to move forward in their process that they couldn't get because everyone was closed. That's why I support it.
Thank you. Board Member Isom. Board Member Patero.
I don't support this for a couple of reasons. First, these are variable term waivers. These teachers are going to Title I school. One of them is going to teach 6th, 7th grade in multiple subjects. That is not equitable because teachers in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in junior high school don't have to teach all these multiple subjects. So I'm against this for the very reason these teachers are not even on the PIP, let alone credentialed teachers, and they're going to Title I schools. So that disadvantages our students in those schools, and I'm against this. How's that?
Appears that we have no further discussion.
I'd like to speak on
Roll.
favor of the motion I'm very thankful that in the midst of a teacher shortage across the state and the United States, that we are able to have teachers in the classroom for our students.
Appears that there's no further discussion. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Nay.
Mr. Richardson, Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
That item passes. We move to 11B through I. These are job descriptions. I'll read them all, and then we'll attempt to run these as a slate. If there's any that need to be pulled, please advise. We have the review and potential approval of the revised job description for Custodian 1. There's no presentation. Item 11C, review and potential approval of the revised job description for Custodian 2. No presentation. 11D, review and potential approval of the revised job description for Custodian 3. No presentation. 11E, review and potential approval of the revised job description for paraeducator. No presentation. Item 11F, review and potential approval of the revised job description for paraeducator bilingual English language learner. No presentation. Item 11G, review and potential approval of the revised job description for paraeducator 1, special education. No presentation. Item 11H, review and potential approval of the revised job description for paraeducator 2, special education. No presentation. And finally, item 11I, review and potential approval of the revised job description for paraeducator 3, special education. No presentation. Do I have a motion?
I
I
would,
move to approve.
I've had a hand up for a while. What I'd like to do is to move to consolidate discussion on items 11A, B, C, and D, which deal with the custodial positions, and vote those as a slate. And then I would like to bring a second motion to designate, I would move to consolidate discussion and vote on items E 1 through, or E through I, which is the paraeducator positions, under a separate discussion.
Thank you.
Second, please. I'd second that.
Okay, the motion is to consolidate items 11B, C, D, which is the custodial positions. Do we have a motion and a second? Roll call vote.
Discussion, sir.
Discussion. My apologies. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom, Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson, Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
That motion passes. The second motion by Board Member Tilly was to run items E, F, and E, F, G, H, and I together as a slate. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second. Patero.
Thank you, Board Member Patero. Board discussion.
I have a question. Oh, yeah.
Are you gonna call on
Board
someone?
member, I'm sorry, I heard someone whispering that they had a question. It kind of
Oh,
threw
that
me
was
off for
me.
a second.
That was me.
Go ahead, Board Member Smith, followed by Board Member Patel.
Okay, thank you. I would like to, before we vote on this, request that we make a minor edit to 11E. That's the standard paraeducator position. There's a line that reads in the minimum qualifications that prior initial employment as a paraeducator and that they must meet qualifications described above and pass the instructional assistant test. This is an entry-level position, and given that
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Board
this
Member
is
Wilson.
in regards to my support for the motion.
May I state my point of order?
Yes, sir, you may.
Okay, a motion has been made in the second motion. It sounds like an amendment is being made, but an amendment is being offered, but I didn't hear a motion to amend the original motion. What is your ruling, Mr. Chairman, on my point of order?
Board Member Smith, would you like to establish a motion regarding your concern for item E?
Sorry, point of order. The motion before the board is whether to consolidate these items for discussion. This is not the time to be amending. The motion is, do we want to consolidate them or not? A yay vote means we consolidate them for discussion, and any edits, amendments, or discussions can be made in speaking to the main motion when it arrives. The motion before the board is whether to consolidate or not. I would ask the board to consolidate them for discussion so we can do that.
That's okay. That didn't seem to be how it went with the custodians, but okay.
We haven't voted on the custodians yet.
We voted on the custodians.
No, we voted on
We
the
ju-
motion to consolidate items A through D for discussion. Two separate motions, merely to consolidate. Once that gets passed, we then go back to the custodians. And if that goes, then we go to the paraeducators.
Point of
It's just a
clarification.
procedure.
I think Ms. Tilly is right. We voted to go on to consolidate the first, and then have a discussion on that, and then vote on that, and then do this, have a vote on it, discuss, and then vote on that. That was her motion that we passed. So this, what we voted here was yes,
Mr.
to take
Chairman,
a
point of order.
The current motion is to consolidate items E, F, G, H, and I. Is there any further discussion on those items to be consolidated? Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
I am voting aye to consolidate the custodial positions.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr.
We
Chair,
return
move
back.
approval on those items.
I have a motion to remove. I have a
Move
motion
approval
to
on
move
the item.
approval. Board Member Isom, just for clarification, are you referring to all items under action items 11 through B through I? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Move approval on the consolidated items regarding the custodians.
Oh, I'll
Thank
second
you.
that. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you. We move to the motion for the approval of items E, F, G, H, and I. Do
Move
we have any
approval.
public comments?
Move approval
Second.
Second.
for the consolidated items.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Isom, a second by Board Member Tilly. Do we have any board discussion on this action that we're taking?
Item E through J.
Aye.
Aye. Board Member Tilly, followed by Board Member Smith.
I yield to Board Member Smith in order to make a friendly amendment to the language in item E.
Thank you. Board Member Smith.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm going to restart because I don't know where I stopped on my what I was saying. So I would like to make the minor edit to 11E. The line reads, it is number 4 if you are able to pull up the job description and want to look, but it is number 4 from the minimum qualifications, and it says that prior initial employment as a paraeducator and must meet the qualifications described above and pass the instructional assistant test. It's an entry-level position, so it contradicts being entry-level if you must have experience first off. But we also need to make ourselves competitive in the market. With some of the COVID funds, there's a 10% minimum that must be spent on hiring paraeducators, whether you need them or not. That is a requirement. And I think that we would be limiting our candidate pool if we were not to just take out that small part that says prior initial employment as a paraeducator. Leave all the rest. They must meet the qualifications described above. They must pass the instructional assistant test, but just taking out that they must have been employed as a paraeducator. And for the record, none of the others that are entry level from the paraeducator slate here have that requirement. It is for the 2s and 3s, but that doesn't exist other than with this one for the entry level job.
Thank you, Board Member Smith. Board Member Tilly.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't hear you. My question is, should we poll and should we hear from staff or anyone else regarding whether that language is essential, or are we comfortable simply? I will second, by the way, the suggested amendment to E, because I know that Board Member Smith knows her stuff like nothing else. And I'm wondering, is there a reason why that was there and not on the other ones? Yes, that's a question that's prohibited tonight, but just saying.
Board Member
Can
Wilson.
Superintendent Corey speak to that?
Superintendent Corey.
We accept that amendment. That would be fine. There's no requirement.
Thank you. Board Member Wilson.
I'd like to speak against the amendment. We have subcommittees for a reason. The proper action would be to send it back to the subcommittee. Then staff could have time to give input. The subcommittee, if we run around them, it kind of invalidates their purpose, and I don't want to invalidate the work they do. So I'm speaking against the motion to amend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to speak in favor of it, and the reason for it is at this moment, it's extremely time sensitive, and this going back, in this case, to governance subcommittee would prevent the opportunity for us to hire in what Board Member Smith has alluded to, which will be a very competitive market for paraeducators. And the amendment change that she's requesting for us to consider simply makes it the entry position that it is as far as the qualifications, because you can't really be have prior paraeducator experience for the entry level position if you've never been in the entry level position. So I favor supporting that. Board Member Patero, followed by Board Member Till.
I would concur and support that as well, just for the simple reason, like you need experience, right? And you got to start somewhere. And students, if you have 48 units and you're in school and never had a job before, what a great opportunity to start. And so I'm in favor of Vice President Bethany Smith's amendment.
Board Member Tilly.
Thank you, President Richardson. As a member of the governance subcommittee who vetted these already once in subcommittee, and as a huge of Robert's Rules of Orders, I can say that you are allowed to accept amendments of less than, I think, a paragraph on a friendly amendment basis. That amendment has now been vetted with the super who indicates that it's an appropriate amendment. We merely overlooked it. So I would support the amendment, and I would support discussion on the paraeducator positions on their slate with that amendment.
Thank you, Board Member Tilly. The motion on the floor is to approve the slate with a friendly amendment to item. Oh, I'm sorry, Board Member Ison.
Call the question. Call for the vote.
I was doing that.
Go ahead. Yeah, please call for the vote. All in favor?
Oh, I just need to clarify the motion that's on the floor. The motion is that we're approving the slate for paraeducators, which is items E through I, with a friendly amendment to item E, which will be to remove the language which states prior
initial employment as a paraeducator.
Perfect. Thank you. Prior initial employment as a paraeducator. I wrote that in code and it didn't come back to me the way I wrote it. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Nay.
That item passes. We move to item J, 11J, review and potential approval. We just discussed it. Board Member Patero, you're muted, so only we can hear you in this room.
Sorry, we just voted to put those items together on the slate, plus the amendment to pass that before we have a discussion. We've not even had a discussion on this. That was what Ms. Tilly's original point was.
Point of order.
The motion and second.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Board Member Wilson.
My point of order is that we've taken a vote, and if we are speaking, it is against or for a motion. So, and the board member speaking right now is not speaking in favor of or against a motion. So the comments are out of order. That is my point of order. How do you rule, Mr. Chairman?
I rule that the vote is over. We have voted and everyone has given their vote. So we are moving to item J,
Point of
which is
order. Did we have a
11J.
discussion? Point of order. Did we not have it? We did not have a discussion on
Board Member
this.
Patero, we are moving forward. Board of order, Mr. Patero, please proceed. Board Member Tilly.
Thank you, President Richardson. I think that it was a little bit confusing because the vote that I took was in favor of the amendment to 1E. And my expectation would be that it would come, that after that amendment had passed, we would then return to the main motion, which was to vote on and discuss the slate. I was not quick enough on the draw. Understand that I don't wish to consume meeting time. However, I have several comments regarding the need for the paraeducator positions. I think Board Member Patero has comments that may not be, well, although the vote was yay, I'm not sure that she was voting in favor of the paraeducator position. On the other hand, I don't think that once we close the vote, we can do that. So I think that we learn and move forward. But my understanding was that I was voting on the amendment, not on the slate.
Thank you for that clarification. We'll be sure to be careful in the future to carefully articulate those changes when they occur. We move to item 11J, which is the review and potential approval of the tentative agreement between the California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 302, Office Technical Business Services Unit, and the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, effective May 1st, 2021. There is no presentation. Do we have any public comments?
There is no public comment.
May I joyously move approval?
Certainly. We have a motion by Board Member Tilly. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Patero. Do we have any board discussion? Clarification, a second by Board Member Honeychurch. Do we have any board discussion? Board Member Isom?
Yes, is my hand up? I'm sorry. I'm excited about it. I did not know that my hand was up. This is great that I'm speaking in favor of the motion. This is great that we have a 2-year agreement with our teachers, and I'm excited. I'm sorry, with our staff, business units, and I'm excited about it.
Thank you. Any further board discussion? Board Member Wilson.
I would like to speak in favor of the agreement, even though I understand there is concern among the community about a 3% raise and a multi-$1,000 bonus. In spite of that, thank you.
Board Member Wilson.
I don't have more comments. I spoke in favor of the motion, even though I understand there was concern in the community about apparent large increases in pay when working conditions have significantly changed for some teachers to require more creativity, but less demanding working conditions. And I understand the concern. Nevertheless, I favor approving the agreement.
Thank you. Doesn't appear we have any further discussion. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
The item passes. We move to item 11K, review and potential approval of tentative agreement between the California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 302, Support Operations Unit, and the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, effective May 1st, 2021. There is no presentation. Do we have any
Move
public
approval.
speakers?
Move approval.
Happily second.
We have a motion and a second. Any board discussion? Board Member Patero?
So if we could move to approve K through M as a slate?
I would
There's a
second that,
motion,
but we're in the middle of
there's a
it.
motion on the floor.
Okay, never mind. Good, I'll second it. I was thinking we could get it, I was just thinking we could get it done faster, but that's all right. Fine, I'll be happy to do it individually.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Board Member Wilson.
My point of order is that we are allowed to speak in favor of or against
I'm speaking
motions.
in favor of it and I
Now,
approve.
but there is a correct form for questioning the decisions of the chair. And the current comments do not follow the form for questioning the decisions of the chair. How do you rule on my point of order?
I'll rule in favor of moving forward with the roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilley,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
That motion passes. We move to item 11L, review and approval of an agreement between the Fairfield Sassoon Management Association, FSMA, and the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, effective May 1st, 2021. There's no presentation. Do we have any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Move
Do we have a
approval.
motion?
Move approval.
Second, Patero.
Thank you. Any board discussion? I see none. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Oh, sorry, aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilley,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
That motion passes. We move to item 11M, review and potential approval of the tentative agreement between the Fairfield Sassoon Unified Teachers Association, Fsuda, and the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, effective May 1st, 2021. There's no presentation. Do we have any public comment?
There is no public comment on this item.
Move approve, Patero.
Second.
Second. Well, let Ms. Honeychurch, you second.
Second.
All right.
Okay.
We have a motion by Board Member Terrell, second by Board Member Honeychurch. Any board discussion? Board Member Patero? I'm sorry, Board Member Tilley.
We have become like twins. I just wanted to point out, I refrained from comment on this because the point was made, but I think the tenacity, the hard work of both sides on the bargaining teams, as well as the reality of what shifting from in-person instruction into distance learning back again with the threat of infection pending vaccines, which have been delivered, as well as the hard work that all of our district employees, they still came to the central office, all of our janitors and custodians and our lunch people, support services. This community did an amazing job in the most difficult time faced in my life. And they did it for our kids. And the use of one-time funds that are available as a result of pandemic relief to reward, to show our value of our amazing teachers and staff and administrators is, I think, a bargain, and it's not ongoing. It's a one-time thing. Also, although I'm pretty cheap, I don't like awarding raises, I can tell you this, that the kind of work that our teachers are and our school personnel, our janitors, they don't have to get those bathrooms cleaned, do the eye wash stations, the kind of work they're going to be doing, both that they've done this year and that they'll be doing next year in addressing, they're going to be working harder than they've ever worked in their lives. And our kids, our students, are going to be the beneficiaries. So I wholeheartedly support this contract, and I'm so grateful that we are a 2-year deal so that we can stop negotiating and move into our students' future and our district's moves towards excellence. I hope you approve it.
Thank you. Looks like there's no further discussion. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
The motion passes. We move to 11N, review and potential approval of the tentative agreement between the Ancillary Professions Association, APA, and the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, effective May 1st, 2021. No presentation. Do we have any public comments?
There's no public comment.
Do we have a motion?
Move approval, Bethany.
Second, Patero.
Any board discussion? I see none. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
That item passes. We move to item 12A, which is the review and potential approval of resolution 49-2021, condemning hate in our communities. I do want to take the moment to say that our district does not condone any form of hate against any group of individuals. And we want to make sure that is clear to our community, both past, present, and future, by establishing this resolution. Mr. Clerk, do we have any public comments?
There's no public comments on this item.
Move approval.
Do we have a
Second.
motion by the, we have a second by Board Member Tilly. Any board discussion, colleagues?
I just want to speak in favor. This is an incredible resolution, covers all forms of hate for all people.
Thank you, Board Member Tilly, followed by Board Member Patero.
What Board Member Isom said.
And Board Member Patero.
I disapprove of this resolution because for me, this resolution turns out to be an all lives matter resolution and doesn't address specific issues that pertain to discrimination in our community. And I reject the language of this wholeheartedly. 2 months ago, CSBA brought out a resolution proclamation against Asian hate, and it was written specifically for that. We didn't even bother to read that. We went and got this whole thing that is a cut and paste of equity, doesn't even meet any of this. As a Pacific Islander, I'm offended by the language of this because I think it should have been more specific to the discrimination that is being imposed on people of color in this district. We had several students come here several times to speak to Asian hate. One person even wore his shirt to talk about the increase in Asian hate by 150%. And what do? We turn around and give this whitewashed, all lives matter proclamation that is offensive on so many levels. I disagree with this. I hate it. And I am so offended by it. And I'm voting against it.
I don't see any further discussion from our board colleagues. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Nay.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
That item passes. We move to item 12B, review and potential approval of the deletion of board policy. Excuse me. Items B through K were reviewed by our governance subcommittee. And at this time, I'm going to defer to the chair of the governance subcommittee, Board Member Judy Honeychurch, to review.
Thank you, President Richardson. Yes, these items were all brought before the governance subcommittee, 12B through K. and discussed. The changes that were made were based on recommendations from CSBA, and we're bringing them all to the board for approval minus 12F. Make a motion to approve all items 12B through K minus 12F.
Second, Wilson.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly, Ms. Tilly.
It seemed like she got kicked out
Oh,
and, oh, now
okay.
she's back. There she is.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly, if you can see us, just raise your hand and say yes for aye. No. Okay, so hand up for aye, correct? Yes? Okay, thank you. Ooh, technology today. Thank you. We move to item 13A, review of the draft expanded learning opportunities, the ELO grant plan. This will be presented by Dr. Sheila McCabe. Do we have any public speakers?
We have one public speaker, Mr. Jack Flynn. Please move to the comment area.
Good evening, Superintendent Corey, Board President Richardson, members of the governing board, and members of the community. My name is Jack Flynn. I'm a junior at Early College High School, a student ambassador of Generation Up Fairfield Sassoon, and a candidate for the position of Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District Student Board Member. I'm here tonight to express my support for the Expand Learning Opportunities Grant Plan. As an FSUSD student, I feel this plan accurately and appropriately reflects the needs of FSUSD students and will help close achievement gaps and support meaningful learning. This plan was carefully crafted with the input of several key educational stakeholders like teachers, students, parents, and the community. This draft plan was created with the healthy and collaborative input from these stakeholders, which demonstrates how this plan is truly reflective of a diverse range of voices across our district. The policy proposals in the plan are significant and relevant to the needs of our student population. For instance, this plan dedicates nearly $4 million to accelerate progress to close achievement gaps. These dollars are spent wisely to support 3rd and 6th grade students in reading, to support staff as they served as site-based literacy coaches, to creating a TK through 12th grade literacy plan, and to support paraeducators as they provide additional classroom support. These are well-spent dollars which can result in significant and measurable improvement in closing achievement gaps among our student population. As a district, we must be willing to dedicate resources to closing achievement gaps so that every FSUSC student can learn and thrive in the real world. Furthermore, this plan dedicates $400,000 to high school credit recovery programs. This is a smart proposal and can help to get high school students who are credit deficient on track to graduation and beyond. As a student who took a math credit recovery course in the summer of 2020, I appreciate this proposal, and I've experienced firsthand how credit recovery can truly help a student succeed in their academic career. In conclusion, I urge this governing board to support the Expand Learning Opportunities Grant Plan. As a student in the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, I truly appreciate the forward-thinking approach this plan takes and its commitment to addressing real issues students in our district face. I hope that you take this into consideration, and thank you for your time and consideration.
There are no more public speakers.
Thank you, Dr. Sheila McCabe. You can begin your presentation.
Good evening, Superintendent Corey, Board President Richardson, and members of the governing board. Tonight, I have the honor of bringing forward the district's Expanded Learning Opportunities Grant Plan. In order to support in-person instruction during the COVID pandemic, the state legislature and federal government have provided school districts with additional one-time funds. Each of these funds have criteria on how the monies can be spent, and they vary in terms of whether they can be spent in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. Tonight's presentation focuses on the Expanded Learning Opportunities Grant Funds, which for our district represent approximately $13.7 million, require board approval of a plan that must be submitted to the Solano County Office of Education no later than June 1st and have to be expended by August of 2022. The development of the plan must include stakeholder input. Since the timeline aligned to the LCAP process, we've used the LCAP stakeholder input to guide the development of this plan. We've also shared the plan with the District English Learner Advisory Committee, the LCAP Advisory Committee, and the Parent Leader Advisory Committee. Stakeholder groups have shared that they are very pleased with the strategies outlined in this plan. As shared on the previous slide, each of the state and federal one-time dollars have specific guidelines on how the funding can be used. On this slide, we've identified the 7 allowable areas for these one-time funds. Of the $13.7 million, the plan allocates $6.64 million for extended learning opportunities. These include funding for tutoring, expanded summer school programs this year and next year, additional teaching staff, and experiential learning opportunities such as camps and field trips for students who might not otherwise be able to afford to attend. Over the last 6 months, Educational Services has been working closely with a robust stakeholder group to develop a TK to 12th grade literacy plan. $3.92 million will be allocated to implement actions identified within this plan to help accelerate progress and close the gap. One of the criteria of the grant is that 10% must be spent on paraeducators. The paraeducators that we intend to hire will primarily be focused on supporting the implementation of this literacy plan. This will include providing professional development for these new staff members in the instruction materials being used to support this work in the classroom. The plan allocates $1.3 million for integrated support. 2 of the actions come directly from requests from our students during the December and April Student Voices presentations. 1, we will be contracting for support services for group counseling, which the students talked about at their last Student Voices. And then we've also allocated funds that can be used by the Student Advisory Council to meet the mental health initiatives that they have discussed during these 2 Student Voices. In addition, the plan calls for addition of an academic counselor to support the needs of our English learners. We currently have 1 person serving in this capacity, and our DLAC committee has identified the need to expand this support as one of their top priorities, as it has been a tremendous resource for our Spanish-speaking families. The plan does include some funds for professional development with a focus on literacy and socially emotional support. While I'm excited about all of the actions identified in the plan, my most favorite is the $450,000 for community learning hubs. Our goal is to contract for services to open a few learning hubs throughout our community where our unsheltered youth can go after school. It will provide our students with a safe place where they can receive support on their schoolwork and have internet access. The plan also includes expanding our credit recovery options for our high school students and securing software so that staff can more easily identify which students are in need of support, and also for us to be able to monitor the impact of that support that the students are receiving. This item will come back before the board on May 27th for review and approval. It must then be submitted to the Solano County Office of Education on May 28th for us to meet the required June 1st deadline. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present the district's plan for these one-time funds. Board President Richardson, this concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. McCabe. Board colleagues, are there any clarifying questions for the superintendent?
I just had one question regarding the community learning hubs. Where would those be? Would they be located like at libraries or like here or at school campuses?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Board Member Wilson.
My point of order is that we agreed to debate motions, not have other comments or questions outside of motions, and the comments are out of order. How do you rule on my point of order?
I'll rule in favor of your point of order.
Okay, fine. I'll ask a question. I'm in favor of this on the condition that I know where these community learning hubs are.
Board Member Wilson.
There is no motion. And so therefore comments are out of order. How do you rule on my point of
Mr.
order?
Chairman. Mr. Chair.
Board Member Item.
Following your ruling on point of order, this is a great opportunity to share that this is an informational item. We don't discuss or debate informational items. This is where we have 2 weeks to reach out to our superintendent.
Point of order, Chairman.
Ask any questions and get any more information on this item.
Board Member Wilson.
The previous point of order was not ruled on, and that is the next item of business to order for the chair to make a ruling on the previous point of order.
Can you please repeat the initial point of order, please?
There was beginning discussion, but there is no motion before us. Therefore, discussion is out of order in this
Point
meeting.
of clarification.
How do you
Fine,
rule?
I will
How do you
withdraw.
rule? How do you rule on
I withdraw my question.
and how do you
rule
rule?
in favor of the point of order? Board Member Patero, do you have a specific question?
I didn't have a question, but the reason why I responded was because the president asked if there was any discussion. So if we were going to have discussion, then you should have asked if there is any questions. When you said question or discussion, I thought, well, here I can ask a question. Fine, I won't ask any questions.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Board Member Wilson, I understand exactly. I made an error in how I presented this agenda item. This is an information item. It does not require a vote.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome. Board Member Tilly, I see your hand up. Was there something?
Yes, thank you. No, I just wanted to thank our brilliant staff and district for putting together this grant. And, okay, point of order. Can I move to suspend the rules?
I second that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
All
Suspend
right,
the rules.
so we have a
Requires
motion on the floor to suspend the original motion to not have questions or discussion on particular agenda items. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Ms. Martino,
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Patero,
Tell me again what we're voting on.
We're suspending the
Suspend
rules.
So we can talk.
Yeah. By all means.
Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Nay.
Board Member Tilly, that motion passes. Board Member Tilly.
Thank you for returning it back to me. I think that it's an amazing opportunity. It's going to be done in shortened time. I had the privilege of attending the parent leader meeting earlier this week, and where I got to see the responses from our parent group. which is an amazing group. And all of them were so encouraged by the goals that were set, as well as the clear metrics we're seeing if we're meeting those goals. And I just wanted to commend that. That said, I think it's a great idea to know where those community hubs are going to be. I suspect they're going to be in the areas that need the service the most, because we have amazing staff and they know how to target our students in need. But I wanted to be able to at least speak in gratitude for this opportunity and to commend our staff for their fabulous foresight and hard work in putting this together in a way that will serve our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Tilly. Board Member Patero, followed by Board Member Isa. Board Member Patero, you're on mute.
I also wanted to thank Dr. McCabe for the presentation and also for specifically laying out where the monies were going to be allocated. And thank you for that. I just wanted to know that we have these learning hubs is great. I just wanted to know where they're located, but awesome that we have them. And thank you for the presentation and for telling us where the money is being allocated. Thank you.
Board Member Isa.
Yes, thank you. I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to really take a look at the draft, and we have a week or two at least to ask questions of our superintendent to make sure that we really get all of the information that we need regarding this presentation. So when it does come up to vote, we will be able to clearly articulate whether we are in favor or against it. But this is the prime example of how we're trying to operate, where we receive a presentation, we have an opportunity to ask questions over the next 2 weeks so that we can have a lively debate and or speak for or against it. I'm just so happy that we have this opportunity to share what it is we're trying to accomplish, which would actually shorten the length of our meetings and probably get more information in order to make a very, very, very good vote for or against the item, because we know everything about it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Board Member Wilson.
I would like to note this item, the LCAP, is at the core of what our business is as a school board. Well, this is a grant plan, but the Expanded Learning Opportunities Grant Plan, but it's right at the core of what we are about. And so I'm glad we have capable staff to prepare this for us. And I look forward to, in a way, the most fulfilling part of our job is to observe and perhaps help and promote resources going to the students who need it. And I'm real glad to be part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other board members with any discussion. So we're going to move to item 14A, notice of upcoming bids. There's no presentation. Do we have any public comment?
There's no public comment.
All right, I see no hands for discussion. We move to item 19A, which will be to adjourn the closed session for discussion of possible action on matters of student discipline, personnel, negotiation, and litigation. Prior to us adjourning, we will adjourn the meeting tonight in the honor and memory of Michael Watt, brother of Holly Whitworth, principal of Grange Middle School, Elaine Baystall, father-in-law of Holly Whitworth, principal of Grange Middle School, Sue Haig, retired principal of Grange Middle School, Remo Majora, cousin of Chris Hill, assistant principal of Armiel High School, and Harriet Boer, retired FSUSD administrator. May they rest in peace and may their memories be a blessing. We will now adjourn to closed session.
Thanks.
Madam Superintendent, can we have a report of action taken in closed session?
Thank you, President Richardson. It is my pleasure tonight to bring forward Abigail Hilliard for Communications Manager, Public Information Officer within our district. In her new role, Ms. Hilliard will manage communication functions, including press releases, social media platforms, and the district's webpage. She will disseminate district information, encouraging community involvement in support of students. I have to get rid of my reverberation. I think that will help. Can you still hear me? Great. She joins us from Bakersfield City School District and Panama Buena Vista Union School District, where she has served as a general education teacher since 2017. Before working within the public education sector, she worked as an account executive for Summer Strategies in Silver Spring, Maryland, and some of her responsibilities included creating and managing and maintaining social media outlets, assisting with the coordination of media events and promotional materials, and developing written and multimedia content for clients. While she's a teacher at heart, she has a passion and expertise for public relations. She has a diverse portfolio that includes media relations, digital and social strategies, crisis communications, and marketing. She used her skill set to serve various companies, nonprofits, political candidates, and trade associations. Below is an excerpt from one of her references. Abby was referred to me by a former Capitol Hill colleague and senior Obama administration official who not only spoke highly of Abigail's strong writing skills, but also her ability to work at a fast-paced startup environment. Abigail was an incredible addition to our team, helping to draft media releases, communication plans, and most of all, a social digital media strategy for several public and private sector clients. Abigail demonstrated great leadership and confidence as she led the communication efforts in a large school district in Maryland. She earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Political Science from UC Irvine and her multiple subject teaching credential from Point Loma Nazarene University. On behalf of the entire Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, we are so pleased and honored to welcome Ms. Abigail Hilliard for the district's Communications Manager, Public Information Officer position. And we don't know when she can get here, but sometime between after she finishes her teaching school year this year and July 1. So welcome, Abigail. We look forward to having you join our team. That concludes the action in closed session.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. That
You're
concludes.
muted now.
Oh,
You're muted.
no.
Oh.
Madam Superintendent, thank you. And that concludes our meeting. Meeting adjourned.